Good morning. I just filmed half of this video and then my iPad glitched out and deleted the tier list, so we're starting over. Today I am going to be ranking all of the Danganronpa 2 characters, I just burped, based on whether or not I think they would make good roommates. Spoiler, I think most of them are terrible. Spoiler warning, potential spoiler warning, if you haven't seen or watched or played Danganronpa 2. Also, if you love a character and I don't, and I say something that offends you about the character, whatever, it's my opinion, man. You'll live. Sorry, I really hate a character in this game that people super love, and when I call her annoying, people freak out and they're like, no, she's just misunderstood, and I'm like, no, I know. I still find her annoying. Just let me live. Editor's note. I'm gonna insert a TikTok I made about this exact thing, because I feel like it sums it up pretty well. Danganronpa fans are crazy because you could be like, I find this particular character annoying and I don't like them because they annoy me. And 1,000 people will come out of the woodworks and be like, they're not annoying. They're traumatized and misunderstood. They're not annoying. First of all, why are you arguing with my extremely subjective opinion? You're not going to convince me that I'm not annoyed. Second of all, I didn't say that they weren't traumatized or misunderstood. I said that they were annoying. You can be traumatized and misunderstood and annoying. Trust me, I would know. God. Akane. I think Akane would be bad. Like, really bad. I think that she would be super messy. I think she'd leave her shit everywhere. I think that if you, like, bought yourself food, she'd eat it. And you'd be like, Akane, please don't eat my food. Like, especially whatever. Like, maybe I bought a specific thing. Like, please don't eat that specific thing. And she'd eat it. And she'd be really apologetic and be like, oh my god, I'll replace it. I'm so sorry, I won't do it again. She won't replace it, and she will do it again. So you're like, okay, you're full of shit. She's just too loud and high energy for me. And I think if for some reason we couldn't leave the apartment, like if we were snowed in, she would make some kind of like obstacle course out of her furniture and then not move it back. And it's like, Akane, fucking, okay. I'm gonna put her in E, because I feel like there is worse, but she'd be pretty bad. I'm easily annoyed, if you couldn't tell, and that is the worst thing a person or a character can be to me, is annoying. Chiaki. I feel like Chiaki would really keep to herself. She wouldn't hang out in the common area, like in the living room or the kitchen very much, and she would keep those areas pretty neat. Like, if she cooked something, she would do the dishes and put them away. Her room, though, would be a fucking disaster. She would hole up in her room and get locked in on a video game for days, and her room would consistently be a disaster. Her room clean is like most people's rooms messy. I think after a while, like, she would leave to go to the bathroom and you kind of take a peek in her room. It would smell crazy in there. She'd have like dishes and like ramen cups and stuff. And you'd be like, Jackie, do whatever you want in your own room, but we're gonna get mice. And she would be genuinely apologetic and she would clean it. And she would bring out all the dishes and do them, and she would apologize. Maybe she does it again, but it's always contained to her room, and she seems genuinely apologetic and does something about it right then and there, unlike Akane. So she's gonna go in B. Yeah. The imposter. The imposter is a hard one because whoever they're impostoring, that's the kind of roommate they would be. So if they were pretending to be someone who would be a good roommate, they'd be a good roommate. And if they were pretending to be someone who would be a bad roommate, they'd be a bad roommate. So it's kind of iffy on the imposter. And I think when they are not being someone, they would not leave their room. It would be like nobody even lived there. Like, you know, they're there, they're paying rent, and they must be eating. Like, and they're doing their dishes. Like, there's no trace of them. Like, if you didn't know they lived there and were taking up a room, you wouldn't know. And in that way, the imposter, I think, is also going to go in B. When they're being themselves, whoever that is, they'd be great. But if they're impostoring, if they're pretending to be somebody, that's a total toss-up. Hajime. I think Hajime, realistically, would be a pretty good roommate. I think he would kind of leave his stuff. Like, there's traces of him in the apartment, which is fine. Like, maybe he leaves some dishes in the sink, maybe he leaves some stuff in the living room. But he always picks up after himself without asking. I think that's what would make Hajime a good roommate, is that you would never have to talk to him about anything. Like, you'd never have to have a roommate sit down with him and be like, listen, man. He would bring friends over sometimes, but he'd let you know first and, like, clear it with you. And he's not overly messy. Like, I think he'd be totally fine. So he is gonna go in A. He's gonna go in A here. This tier list has A, S, double S, triple S. I think I'm gonna ignore triple S. That's too much. We have too much rating going on. Ibuki. Ibuki would suck ass. Like, if you didn't know Ibuki before her becoming your roommate, like if it was a randomly assigned dorm situation, or maybe she like found you on an ad on Facebook, she would immediately decide you're like best friends and you're super close because like you live together. Obviously you're besties, and it would be way too much. I think she would invite tons of people over without clearing it with you. She'd be either practicing her music or playing music from a terrible Bluetooth speaker super loudly all the time. You would constantly be getting noise complaints for her. She would either totally ignore it, like she'd see a noise complaint, notice, and she'd be like, that's so crazy. I wonder what this is all about. Do they have the wrong apartment? Or she would say some vague shit like, Ibuki needs to rock, and then she'd just disappear, and you'd be like, Ibuki, we're gonna get evicted. Yeah, I think she'd be really messy and leave her shit everywhere. And she'd want to take over the apartment with her aesthetic. Maybe you wouldn't want to hang anything or really do anything in the apartment. You want your security deposit back, and she'd be like, this apartment needs the Ibuki touch, and like spray paint the walls, and you'd be like, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna put Ibuki in F. I think she would be absolutely terrible. Fuyuhiko. Fuyuhiko is gonna go in S tier. Hear me out. I think he would be very respectful of your space. I think, you know, he would be very clean, very respectful. I feel like it would almost be too much. You'd be like, Fuyuhiko, you never have people over the apartment. Do you not have any friends in this area? And he'd be like, oh, I do. I just meet them at the Starbucks down the street as to not bring people into our area. And I'd be like, no, dude, you live here too. Like, I think he would see the apartment as mine, no matter if I came first or if he came first to the apartment. I don't know if he'd have a perfect grasp on, like, what is respectful or disrespectful in, like, an apartment setting. Like, I think he knows how to live with other people, but for some reason, just, like, living in apartments with someone confuses him. So, like, if I left my coffee mug in the sink, he would wash it and put it away, and then be like, was that okay? Like, have I disrespected you? I'd be like, no, dude. That was really nice of you. Thank you. I'm talking about Fuyuhiko post personality switch. Before the personality switch, I'm imagining in my mind that when me and Fuyuhiko move in together, that it's like original, like beginning of game Fuyuhiko, where he's a dick. The very first day we moved in together, he would be like, you and I are roommates. We are not friends. Like, do not talk to me unless you have to. And I'd be like, all right, dude, great. And then he would have the personality switch, and he'd be like, you know what, man, I was a dick to you, like, whatever. And then he would be like how I described. So Fuyuhiko's gonna go in S tier. And that's a little biased because I love Fuyuhiko. I think he's my favorite character in this game. Mahiru. Mahiru would start off good, and she would be clean, and she would be respectful. She would get a little unbearable. She would start inserting herself in shit that has nothing to do with her. Like, maybe you and your friend or your partner would be, like, in the kitchen late at night talking, and she'd walk in and just, like, insert herself into the conversation, and you'd be like, all right, we're not friends, but okay. Like, she'd kind of do the same thing as Ibuki, where she decides because you guys live together that everything is her business, and it's like, all right, back off. And I think it would be worse if you had multiple roommates with her. She'd make, like, a group chat, and she'd kind of take over the apartment and, like, put herself in charge, and she'd make a group chat and be like, all right, we need to come up with, like, a chore schedule and a chore list. And she'd, like, want all your work schedules and, like, try to make a shared Word document, and you'd be like, relax. Like, it's fine. So I think she'd be mostly fine, but, like, kind of overbearing. So I'd put her in C. I don't know why I envision her, like, taking over like that. Mikan. Mikan lovers. I'm sorry. I don't like her. I think she would keep the space neat. I don't think she would leave her shit out. I think she would keep things neat and orderly. But I do think she would be, like, so over-the-top apologetic, and, like, she would breathe in your direction and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm the worst roommate ever. I'll move out immediately. And you're like, oh my god. Something would happen by accident that's not a big deal. Like, maybe you planned on taking a shower, and while you were getting some towels, she took a shower, and you're like, okay, I can wait, like, 20 minutes. And then she'd get out of the shower and realized you were going to shower and just, like, freak out and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, oh my god, do you hate me, like, I'm so sorry. And you'd be like, Mikan, fucking stop, I don't care, relax. Like, she would try so hard to be a good roommate, it would make her annoying. I'm gonna put her in the D category because that would get on my nerves. Nagito. I think, this might be an unpopular opinion, I think Nagito would be mostly fine. I think he would keep to himself. I think he would stay in his room most of the time. And because he stays in his room most of the time, he wouldn't, like, have stuff everywhere. He doesn't bring friends over. He's just really quiet, keeps to himself. But if you ran into him, like, if you got up in the night and you were gonna go get a snack in the kitchen, or maybe you're going to the bathroom, you'd, like, run into each other in the kitchen or in the dark hallway, and he would say something, like, really off-putting and, like, eerie and weird and creepy, and then he'd just, like, disappear into the darkness of the apartment, and you'd be like, that's weird. And then the next day he would act like absolutely nothing happened, and he would do that, like, once every couple of months, and like far enough apart in time where you're like, maybe I dreamed that. It's always in the night, like, maybe I made that up. Nagito seems like a fairly normal dude, like, why would he do that? And then you kind of forget about it maybe, and then it happens again, and you're like, was I dreaming again? He would just be, like, eerie and unsettling, and then would let you relax and kind of forget about it and then do it again. And he's not doing it on purpose. Like, he's not scaring you on purpose. He's just being Nagito. You know how Nagito, like, at the beginning of the game, like, was pretty normal, and then, like, he got really weird, or, like, he'd say really weird stuff, and then be like, haha. So I'm gonna put Nagito in C, because he's neat, and he keeps to himself, and he's mostly fine, and he doesn't invite weird friends over, but he's creepy. And, like, after, maybe you live with him for a while, and after a couple of years, you're like, I'm moving back to my hometown, goodbye. And then all of a sudden, just, like, a weight is lifted. Like, you didn't realize how not at ease you were, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, it's like a dark cloud has been lifted. Like, his oppressive presence. Nekomaru. I think Nekomaru would suck literally just as bad as Akane, but Akane would take no for an answer. If she was like, oh my god, let's go on a run, let's go to the gym together. And I'd be like, Akane, I really don't want to. And she'd be like, okay, that's fine, I can go by myself. I'll work out for the both of us. And you'd be like, alright, that's cute. Nekomaru would never stop trying to get me to work out with him. And I would be like, Nekomaru, I have a disability that makes working out, like, extremely strenuous on my body. It's actually really not safe for me to work out, especially in the way that you do. And he'd be like, nonsense, working out solves everything. And I'd be like, Nekomaru, you are going to land me in the hospital. I also think that he would do the same thing Akane does, where if we were, like, snowed in the apartment, he would make an obstacle course and not move it back. And I also think he would break shit a lot, like, not knowing his own strength. But yeah, I do think that me telling him that working out isn't that great for me would, like, activate his ultimate coach stuff. And he'd be like, nonsense, there's no one that I can't train. And I'd be like, you're gonna fucking kill me. So he's gonna go in E, because he means well. I also think he would break everything. I don't know if I already said that, but, like, I'd be like, hey, man, can you help me move this bookcase? And he'd be like, I can do it all by myself. And then he'd, like, push it into the drywall, and I'd be like, well, there goes the security deposit. Peko. I think she would be just as good as Fuyuhiko, but I think she would try and do things for me a lot. I would say, oh, I need to run some errands, and she'd be like, oh, what errands? And I would be like, oh, I need to pick up the dry cleaning, and I need to go to the grocery store, and I think I need to get an oil change for my car. And then I'd go into my room for a bit, and I'd come back out, and she'd be like, I did everything. I didn't know what oil you wanted in your car, so I got the high test. I know it's the expensive one. I put it on my credit card. And you'd be like, oh, you didn't have to do that. You'd almost think it was creepy. Is she obsessed with me? Like, is she courting me? Why is she doing this? Like, why is she doing so much stuff for me? Like, it's nice. It's great. I hate having to go and get my oil changed. It's so annoying for me for some reason. But why has she done this? She would be much better with Fuyuhiko in the house also. If the three of us were roommates, that would be perfect. It would be great. He would help her be more normal. But if it was just me and Peko, I think she would direct her, like, servitude feelings that she has towards Fuyuhiko towards me. Eventually, I would figure out that it wasn't, like, creepy or weird, and it's just how she is. But I would feel very unsettled for a while, which is why she's gonna go in A and not S, because her vibes would be very off-putting to me for a while. Like, I would think she was obsessed with me. Hyoko. Hyoko is immediate F tier. She would be awful. She would think she was above me. Whatever my life situation was, she would put me down for it. And I'd be like, Hyoko, you also live in this apartment. She would think I was beneath her, but we'd be in the exact same station in life, and it's like, you're not better than me. She would do whatever she wanted. She would invite friends over whenever she wanted. She would try and fuck me over, but not realize that it fucks her over too because she lives in the same apartment as me. If I had a test or if I had an early morning work shift, she would be super loud and annoying to, like, ruin my life. But then we get noise complaints. So, like, joke's on her. Like, I think she has such a disregard for the people around her that her trying to fuck with me and ruin my life would also ruin hers. So if I had any issues with her, like if I was like, listen, Hyoko, you need to stop being less loud, we're gonna get evicted, she would just call me a dumb bitch and walk away. However, like if this was a random dorm assignment and I was like, I've had enough of you, and me and the RA get her kicked out, she would eventually cry and piss and moan a bunch because nobody else will take her as a roommate. I would have no sympathy. Sonia. I think Sonia would be great, but she is a princess. And despite being trained in all forms of combat or whatever the fuck, I think a lot of really simple things would escape her, but not quite in the way that you think. She knows how to operate a dishwasher, but whatever dishwasher came with our apartment is like so beneath her that she wouldn't know how that one worked. She'd be like, back in my mother country, the dishwashers scan your face and it knows how it wants your dishes washed automatically. Like, she's a princess. So I think she would know how to do chores, but the way they do it in her country would be so high tech that she just wouldn't really know how to do it in a normal way. And I'd be like, well, Sonia, our dishwasher has buttons. So I think she'd be really great. I think she'd be really respectful. I think we'd become friends, but I'm going to put her in A instead of S tier because I think I would have to teach her how to do a lot of regular household chores. Soda, immediate F tier. Soda would start off pretty normal, and I would be like, all right, this is fine. And then he would decline after a while. He'd start off, he would get like grease everywhere, like from doing mechanic engine stuff. He would get grease on stuff. I don't know if you've ever worked on an engine, but engine grease is hard to get off shit. It doesn't come out of clothes. It is hard to get off surfaces, and he would get it everywhere. And he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll get it off. And it's like, no, you're not, dude. No, you're not. He'd be a fucking mess. He would wash his jumpsuits in the washer and somehow manage to get diesel grease all over the inside of the washer, and I would have to scrub the fuck out of it because it would just get grease on everything. And I think on his decline, like, he starts off fine, then he gets messy with the grease, and then he would get creepy, like, real fast. Like, I think he would go into people's rooms without knocking. Like, I think he'd just walk into my room and be like, you have a tape measure in here? And I'd be like, first of all, no. Why would I have your tape measure? Second of all, get the fuck out of my room. Knock. Like, I think he'd be weird. Like, and, like, kind of perverse. Like, he'd walk around with, like, a bathrobe on in the night and, like, nothing under it. And if it fell open, he would just, like, walk around and you'd be like, get out of here. He'd change, like, with his door open. Like, I think he'd just be weird. So, F tier. He scares me. Gundam, I'm gonna put in B tier because I think Gundam would be fairly neat. He is the ultimate animal guy, and he would need to keep a clean kingdom for his ultimate dark devas of destruction or whatever. He would keep his room and his area very clean for his dark devas and whatever other animals he has. And he's so good with his animals that I wouldn't mind having all the animals in the apartment. He's also very good at hiding them from the landlord. The landlord said, one small pet. And he presented the landlord with the Dark Devas, and the landlord was like, all right, well, they're small. You can have these ones. That's fine. You know, they keep in a cage or whatever. And then when we move in, he has like 75 other animals. But they're so well trained, and he keeps it so neat and clean that it's totally fine. And he pays the pet fee for the hamsters, so I don't care. Hamsters? Gerbils? I don't know what they are. Guinea pigs? I don't remember what the Dark Devas are. The Dark Devas are very well behaved, by the way. I was scared they were gonna, like, chew through electrical cords and shit in my shoes, but they don't. However, if any issue arises with Gundam as your roommate, you cannot talk to him. You'd be like, Gundam, I'm trying to have some people over, and he would be like, the dark forces, you cannot fuck with Gundam Tanaka, and then he'd, like, disappear, and you'd be like, Gundam, please, can I have people over or not? Like, what? Like, he would be very difficult to talk to if you needed to talk to him, but I don't think that you would. Which is why he goes in B tier, because, yeah. Last but certainly not least, Teru. Immediate F tier, because he's a creepy little pervert. I don't know what situation I would be in where Teru is my roommate. Maybe he is my randomly assigned college roommate and I can't change for whatever reason. He would annoy the ever-loving fuck out of me. I would hate him, and he would be a little pervert, just like Soda. However, he would try to bake his way to my heart. He would know. See, Soda would not know that he was pissing me off, even if I was like, Soda, I fucking hate you. He would be like, she's playing hard to get. Teru would know that I hate him, and he does not want to be on my bad side. So instead of not being a little pervert anymore, he would just cook me food. And at first he would try to convince me, like, I made us dinner. Have dinner with me. And I'd be like, I gotta go. And again, unlike Soda, I think he would get the hint. And for whatever reason, like, I can't change roommates. Like, it's too late in the school year. I can't kick him out. But he does not want to be on my bad side for some reason. Like, he wants my approval. Meanwhile, Soda did not give a fuck. Like, I could say, Soda, I hate you, and it would be like nothing. Teru wants me to like him. So he eventually would just cook me food and leave it for me labeled in the fridge. And I still hate him because he's a little weird pervert. But I would appreciate the gesture and the fact that he does actually care about my opinion, unlike Soda. So, Teru F tier, but better F tier than Soda, if that makes sense. Okay, so here is the final tier list. Again, if you don't agree with my character assessments, whatever. This video is just my opinion. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, let me know. Thank you for watching. If you liked this specific kind of tier list video, let me know and I'll make more. This is the first one I've ever done like this. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.